Look at him run. No good, he missed it. Are you kidding me? Touchdown. He did what? There are no flags on the field. It's a miracle. Play clock at 5. Pass is intercepted at the goal line by Malcolm Butler. That's got a chance. That is good. It's good. Holy Toledo. Throws to the back of the end zone, and it is caught. Kick is on the way, and it is good. It's good. It's good.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Fifth and Long podcast with your hosts, Patrick DeMarre, Paul the Commish Kashack, and EJ Dr. Mastronardi. This is the second edition of our 2025 divisional preview episodes. Today, we're going to be tackling the NFC East. For those of you who forgot, last year, the Philadelphia Eagles won the NFC East and the whole shebang, the Super Bowl, defeating the Kansas City Chiefs. The Washington Commanders took them to the NFC Championship game, played the Eagles, kind of fared pretty well at the end of the year. Jaden Daniels won Offensive Rookie of the Year, had a huge season. Then the Cowboys had kind of a down year. They finished third in the division with dealing with some injuries to Dak Prescott, among other things. And the New York Giants finished in last in the division, ended up with a top 3 pick. Gentlemen, who should we start with here? Should we start with the champs, or do you want to keep going alphabetically like we have been? I feel like this is a situation where we can start with the champs if we want, and then flip over to alphabetical after. What do you think?
Alphabetically.
Just want to go alphabetical?
No exceptions.
No exceptions?
No exceptions
whatsoever. All right. Well, in that case, ladies and gentlemen, let's start with the Dallas Cowboys.
I want me some glory hole.
Yes, that is Jerry Jones wanting some glory hole. That's the wrong team. Ignore that one. I'm going to play this one again, though.
I want me some glory hole.
Is that a direct quote?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. You need to go.
Jerry.
Go look it up. It's a real thing. I promise.
No, I believe you. It doesn't take too much for me to need to believe you there.
Last year, the Dallas Cowboys went 7-10. This year, their over/under is 7.5. They have a new coaching staff. Brian Schottenheimer has been elevated to head coach, so not really new staff, but he's in a new role. Clayton Adams, elevated offensive coordinator. They did hire Matt Eberflus as a defensive coordinator, bringing him in. Last year, they ranked 24th in turnover differential, which was a huge departure from the Cowboys' defensive units that we've known the last couple years before that. Obviously, missed a lot of games from Dak, too. He was hurt for most of the season. He played some games, too, and wasn't that great when he was healthy. Largely in part due to a poor offensive line play and Rico Dowdle being their only running back, pretty much. Have you guys seen the videos on Twitter of the caption will be Deuce Vaughn getting arrested or something like that, and it's a midget in handcuffs, or a little person in handcuffs.
No, but that guy is tiny.
He's 5'5".
Shifty though.
Last year, the Cowboys ranked 31st in defensive points per game, 30th in EPA per play allowed. However, they were 4th in quarterback pressure percentage and 2nd in sack percentage. The big problem was their run defense. They ranked 31st in stuff percentage, 28th in yards before contact per attempt. And offensively, it was pretty inconsistent with Cooper Rush out there and not much of a run game and yada, 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 yada. They lost Zach Martin, who retired. Rico Dowdle no longer in the building. They brought in instead Javonte Williams as well as Miles Sanders. Also entered George Pickens, which could be interesting. And Cooper Rush is no longer the backup in Dallas. Joe Milton is the backup there. Yeah, Joe Milton. They traded for Joe
Your
Milton.
boy.
That's come on, man. It was Buffalo's third stringers. If he replicates that against a real defense, good for him, good for Dallas. For you guys, do you think they improved enough from last year? They brought in some other guys on the defense. They brought in a couple guys. Some of their draft picks look like they could be starters right away, for better or for worse. Maybe. Coaching's kind of a question mark for me personally. But what do you guys think?
I like him. I mean, I'm big on the George Pickens acquisition. Pretty plain and simple. I think that Dak really finally now has a good wide receiver too. I am a little bit concerned at what they're doing at running back. Maybe Javonte Williams will step up and kind of be that RB1. I'm not buying Miles Sanders really factoring into this offense at all. But I do think that they need a good running game to supplement the passing. But we'll see how that looks. But ultimately, I am really excited. Dak can put up some really, really good numbers here this year. So in that sense, I am quite excited for him. I think that the big question in the room isn't necessarily in their offseason acquisitions, but it's in terms of getting their stuff done in-house with Micah Parsons. I know that he requested a trade, but I ultimately think that is going to get done, the deal. But it could ride up right to the season, beginning of the season, and then who knows how rusty he is and everything like that. So that is a little bit something hanging over the head, but I ultimately do think this team's going to be improved. I think it really starts more with, getting Micah signed and then also keeping Dak healthy.
Yeah, Micah is definitely going to have to be retained. A lot of people have been talking about the documentary that's coming out on the Cowboys and how it might just be good timing for Jerry Jones to re-sign Micah Parsons, more or less, like right when that documentary comes out. Might be good press, per se. That would not surprise me whatsoever. That's a guy that knows how to milk the spotlight, if you know what I'm talking about.
I want me some glory hole.
I love that quote. Keys to success in 2025. Wait, no, EJ. I didn't hear what you think. Do you think they improved in the offseason? I'm sorry.
They got Dak Prescott back, who was a 2023 number 2 in MVP.
Yep. I'm with you there.
I mean, that's 2 years removed, and he's not 40 years old like Aaron Rodgers. He's 33 years old, I believe, going into this season.
32.
I mean, this guy, 32. Yeah, all right, cool. Give me a year less. I'll take that any day. I think this offense is going to be dynamic with George Pickens joining the group. I think Tolbert will have a great role. I think if Tolbert gets hurt, you have Cavante Turpin. If Pickens or Lamb get hurt, you have Mingo to back him up as well. I think this offense has depth to it. The only hole might be the offensive line, but I think they kind of, if you're going to go Javonte Williams, Miles Sanders, Jaden Blue, I'm not going to say that's a three-headed monster, but you can pick your poison and see who's doing good on that given day, and whoever's doing good, let's give them the carries. Let's run that ball. I think this offense has a chance to be really good. We know what this defense can be. I know that last year they got away from that. I think the new D coordinator will be a great place to get him back in the spot. I'm not worried about Parsons too much. He's going to play week 1. I think he's going to have a career year and earn that deal. I think they're going to make him earn it. And I think he's going to earn it. I think he's pissed off. And I think he wants to prove, not just to the Cowboys, but the rest of the NFL, that he is the best in the NFL, not just at that DN position, but at that position of defense. He's the best defensive player in the NFL. He's going to prove it this year. I have the Cowboys. We may not do have them going 11-6. I have them making the playoffs. That's just due to who else is in this NFC East. But I have them going to the playoffs.
EJ, could I ask for a clarification on one thing real quick?
Yes, sir.
When you said he's going to earn that contract, were you saying that he is going to play at the beginning of the year and not have a contract and get it? Or were you just saying he's going to get a contract and live up to the deal?
No, I don't think he's going to have a contract. So I don't think he's going to get.
And you think he'll suit up week 1 even without a contract?
I think he's going to suit up week 1. I think he's going to just say, Jerry, fuck you. This is what I can do. And I think they're going to give him an offer he can't refuse, and that's going to bolster that market. So I think he's going to be the big reason why that market turns the way it is.
Interesting.
He is a guy that seems like
I
he's
have a
kind of
tough time
wired that way.
believing. I have a tough time believing he suits up week 1 if he doesn't have a deal, but I think it's going to get done even before then. So, and I could see definitely a career year. I can agree with you on that, but we'll have to table that and see what happens. Because Dak's deal last year went right up into the beginning of the year, I'm pretty sure. I think that one happened like right before the start of the season.
It did. I think for them, like, they just have to improve both their running game offensively and their run defense. If they can improve their run defense and force more situations where they are in like second and long or like third and manageable, then Micah's going to get a chance to do what he does and cause havoc. And that defense that actually had some pretty good numbers underneath the hood in terms of pass rush can exhibit more of that in more of those situations. You're not going to be able to use that if teams are running the clock out against you the entire second half, which happened a lot last year. CD is a huge factor for me, like that partnership with him and Dak. One of the running backs is going to have to step up. Maybe it's more of a committee thing. Maybe they just pass the ball 45, 50 plus times a game and pull a Joe Burrow. I am interesting. I can't get there with the playoffs yet. EJ, I like where your head's at, and I think that is a possibility for them. Their ceiling to me is 12-5. How many times did they win 12 games in a row? I think it was 3 seasons and a wild card appearance, not a win. But to me, their floor is 7-10. Their win total over under 7.5. I have them going over the win total, but I have them finishing at 9-8 and missing the playoffs. Just barely. Paul?
Ready for my win total prediction? I think that this team is, I'm going to agree with EJ here. I'm going to go with 11-6. For me, that really stems, if Dak Prescott stays healthy, consider his records over the last 3 or 4 years when he has played. 11-5 in 2021, 8-4 in 2022. He did miss a couple games due to injury there. And then in 2023, that AP MVP runner-up season to Lamar, 12-5 in 2023. So I think if this guy is out there, this is definitely a double-digit win team, and I think it's a tough division here, but I mean, we'll talk about teams like the Commanders in a second. Like, I think that they've got uncertainties there as well. So I'm confident that this team can get to 11 wins, wild card, and in fact, I will say wild card victory.
Okay, so Paul, EJ, you guys are both on the high end for this team. EJ, did you have them winning a playoff game too?
I did. I said I had them losing the divisional, which
So Paul's the same way.
could mean losing in the wild or winning in the wild card. So I just have them losing the divisional.
It's the same thing. Well,
Yeah.
It could be.
I mean, in theory, if they got a bye, if they were the number 1 seed, but
I don't see them being that. So
yeah, I don't know. They play a lot of good teams this year. They played 10 playoff teams from last year. That's like, some of those teams might regress, but the Eagles are 2 of those. The Commanders are 2 of those. So I'm guessing that both you guys are banking on a regression from one of those teams. I feel like I can probably guess who.
I have the Cowboys winning week 1.
I don't know. I don't know who they play week 1.
The Eagles.
Yeah, they play week 1 against the Eagles. That would be a statement if they won in Philly on Thursday night when the Eagles are putting their rings on. That would be one hell of a statement on banner night.
Eagles fans probably go back to fire Sirianni chance.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the Eagles have a tough stretch to start their year.
Hey, my backyard is concrete. Sorry. EJ, what were you saying?
I was just saying the Eagles have a tough start to their year.
Yeah, they do. I think I had them starting, like, when I did this, where did I have them? I think I had them going, like, I don't think I had them losing until, like, week 12. No, week 10. I had them going up until week 10. Spoiler. We'll get there in a sec. I'm not going to talk more about the Eagles yet. All right, EJ 11-6, Paul 11-6. I have them at 9-8. America's team. Woo! Anything else on the Cowboys, guys? Going once, going twice.
Just if I haven't made it clear, X Factor is George Pickens here this season. I think we know what we're going to get from CeeDee Lamb, but how good Pickens is at the wide receiver 2 can kind of determine the ceiling that the offense can reach.
You really think they're trying to go for like a Jamar Chase, T. Higgins kind of vibe with those two guys? Yeah.
Yes.
I see Javonte Williams getting 1,000 yards this year. So mark it down.
The NFC version of the Bengals. Probably with
Rico Dowdle got it last year. I could see Javonte Williams easily getting it this year.
It ain't going to be Miles Sanders, I'll tell you that. I could see maybe the Cowboys not having a 1,000-yard rusher, but if I had to choose one, I'd agree with that, EJ.
Okay.
But yes, Pat, I think that this team is going to try to resemble kind of what Cincinnati is. Two-headed monster at receiver, or what Miami was a couple years ago when we talked about Miami on the previous episode.
I think offensively it'll resemble more of what Cincy does, probably. But yeah, that just kind of like popped into my head there, which
it's a good comp.
I should have thought of earlier.
I don't know if the playmakers are all of the talent of Cincinnati's. I think Pickens can be as good as Higgins is. I don't think Prescott is as good as Burrow, nor do I think Lamb is quite as good as Chase, but it is certainly a worthwhile comparison, yeah.
Yeah, I would put CD in like the tier right below Chase. I think that if he's at his best, they could be in the same tier. Maybe.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay. All right, that does it for the Cowboys. Next up, ladies and gentlemen, we have the New York Giants. Thank you, Chris Berman. I wish I found a better quality clip of him saying that, but that's the best I could do. Last year, the New York Giants went 3-14. This year, their over/under is 5.5. They play probably the toughest schedule in the league this year on paper, if not one of them. But I think they did improve mostly this offseason. I just don't know how much. I don't know if it's enough to be a wild card team, but I think they did improve. I just really wish they didn't have to play as tough a schedule as they have. Because I like a lot of the players that they brought in. Like, I like Malik Neighbors. I like Abdul Carter. I like some of the things that Jackson Dart does. Jameis Winston is hilarious. Scatabo could be really exciting. Their D line is really exciting. They've made some other good additions too to the secondary. Like, Daboll has shown an ability to put guys in positions to succeed, utilizing their strengths, avoiding their weaknesses. It's just like, who's going to be the quarterback? How long is Wilson going to last? Is Dart going to take over early? How's that going to go? There's still some question marks. That the offensive line needs to improve. The defense needs to improve. And like I said, they play a really tough schedule. EJ, you are the resident Giants fan here. I've made a soliloquy out of this here, but I want to see what you have to say.
Yeah, I mean,
how do you feel about the offseason and like improving or regressing?
I think this season, I think they progressed, obviously, but I think their season is going to rely on how well their defense does. Obviously, they have a very tough schedule. I mean, if you're starting against Commanders, who went to the conference championship last year, and then going to Dallas the week after, it's not very fun. Everyone sees 0-2. I personally think they have a great opportunity to beat Washington. Dallas, we'll see. They haven't beat Dak since 2016, so I'm not going to go that far. I think Washington's a great opportunity to show that they are flipping a chapter on what they're doing. And, Abdul Carter, everything we've seen from him has been glory. I'm excited to see Abdul Carter play week 1. It's kind of a three-headed monster, everyone's saying, with Brian Burns and Kayvon Thibodeau, but everyone forgets about Dexter Lawrence. And this guy, he draws pressures. He makes that defense have to double team. Everyone else is going to be in single team. And I think that four-headed monster right there is going to draw enough concern for offensive lines to not know what they're doing, which allows them to draw the rest of their guys in coverage. And we'll see how well our coverage team is. I know I like Brian Okerley and Adebo. They did as QB1. We'll see how our CB2 does with Deontay Banks. I've heard talks they're going to trade him, so that's going to be a discussion going in the coming weeks. He's not doing too well. I don't know, man. You want to talk about the offense? I think the offense is going to be fine. It's going to be a Daniel Jones version with Russell Wilson running it. I don't see any problems with that. I see more simplicity with that offense, but also more opportunity with that offense because Russell Wilson can throw that ball down the field, which Daniel Jones kind of forgot how to do his last few years. I think Malik will get the ball in situations where he needs to get the ball. I think he'll dump it down more to whoever, Tyrone Tracy, who used to be a wide receiver in Purdue, Devin Singletary, even Cam Scatterbo once he comes back from his hamstring injury. I see this offense being operational. If this defense can hold, I see this defense being a solid, if not top 10 group in the NFL, which will grant them wins at the end of the day. They have had a lot of one-score losses even last year. You go back to the year they made the playoffs, there was a bunch of one-score wins. We might see the opposite this year again. It's going to be a grindy group. It's going to be one of those groups that you see like maybe with the Arizona Cardinals last year where you don't know week in, week out what they're going to bring. I see this team being grindy, a little more different than last year. They have a little to them this year. So we'll see what happens.
All right. I kind of like that. EJ. I think there's like also, I mean, let's be real. Is Malik Neighbors the most talented receiver Russell Wilson has ever played with in the NFL? Like not in terms of production, we haven't seen it yet. Like let's go down the list. Doug Baldwin, Tyler Lockett, DK Metcalf, George Pickens. Am I wrong?
I think he's a better George Pickens. I don't want to compare him to the guys in the Seattle roster because those were all very shifty players that fit into his scheme to like evade the pocket and get open. I think Russell's at a new point in his life where he can't really evade that pocket. It's just get open, and I think Malik's the best at getting open out of all those players you mentioned.
Well, he's also incredible in contested catch situations, and we saw Pickens benefit from that a little bit last year in Pittsburgh. If they can put that to the test and like there could be something there. Also for what it's worth, like Slayton and Wan'Dale Robinson aren't bad either. EJ, you've talked up Theo Johnson a lot. Like there could be a little something there, and there could be like 2-3 running backs to work with too. Don't forget they have Devin Singletary in the roster. He's their RB2 right now ahead of Scatterbo. My only thing with the Giants, and Paul, I want to hear what you have to say next. I think the NFC East is going to be one of the toughest divisions in football this year. I think like they probably have outside of they've got a really good chance of 3 teams making the playoffs this year. I don't know if it'll happen, but you guys both picked the Cowboys to make the playoffs. We're probably all going to pick the Eagles to make the playoffs. Maybe not. Washington is going to be a tough team again this year. Like, I have them going 0-6 in division, and I have them going 6-11 overall. But I think there are going to be like signs of improvement there. I think that they have potential to win a couple more games than that, like 7, maybe 8, depending on how things go. But hey, I'm picking their over. I know it's bad. It's top 10 pick. It's right at 10 overall where I have them right now. But I do think there will be signs of improvement there. It'll be a better, like I think it'll be better on paper if you really look into it than wins and losses just like at face value, if that makes sense.
So, I respect EJ's optimism. I kind of see what you're saying here, Patrick. I look at this team in kind of a similar light to your team. I don't think it'll be quite as bad as last year. I don't think that they're going to get over the hump or anything like that. It is an extremely difficult schedule, although I try not to buy too much into that preseason. I think that there's just a lot of turnover in the league. I say this all the time, and I think it's not always the best exercise to look at how good a team was last year and then assume it's going to be the exact same story upcoming this year. I mean, divisions change, players change, everything like that. With that being said, if this team gets off to a slow start, and they're losing games, even if Russell Wilson's just like okay, I think that it's realistic that they're going to go to Jackson Dart, because at that point, I think that the only way that the coaching staff, Dable, can save his job is to show, hey, look, I have something that I can build here with this young quarterback. And I think at that point, if they're starting off first 6, 7 games and they're like 2-5 or something like that, and I think that you're going to have to go to Jackson Dart there, if only to say, hey, look, I can show improvement from the midway point of the year to the end with this young quarterback that I went out on a limb and said that we should draft and trade back into the first round to get. Other than that, I don't think that other than the quarterback position in Russell Wilson that they made massive upgrades on the offensive side of the ball. And if you consider the fact that Russell Wilson was, I think, 6-5 with the Steelers last year, which what I thought was a better roster, it makes it difficult for me to give this team a winning record in the long term. And I think that there's just going to be a lot of pressure. Ultimately, I think that this is probably a 7-10 team. I could certainly see 6-11. I will give them a little bit of a bump because I think Russ is a veteran. He'll find a way to scrap across a couple wins. Maybe Dart comes in at the end of the year. He provides a spark. The league doesn't have a lot of film on him. You get some growth and development from guys like Tyrone Tracy and Malik Neighbors, but ultimately I can't really go much further than that. So apologies, EJ, and Pat makes a great point here as well. We're both high on the Cowboys. I think that the Commanders are clearly better. The Eagles are the defending champions. I mean, you got 6 division games right there. Are they going to go better than 2-4? It's difficult for me to say that they will. 4 losses right off the bat there, and then you haven't even gone outside the division. That's just kind of the way I look at it.
I mean, you talked about the schedule, and like you said too, a lot of things change year to year with every team, and we see every year playoff teams shift and this and that. But part of the thing of their schedule, it isn't just last year's playoff teams that they have to play, which is 10. They also have to play Dallas twice. They have to play the Niners, and they have to play Chicago too, who could be a better team this year. That's 14 out of 17 games. I'm not picking them to go 3-14, but that's probably about how many games they'll be favored in this year. Unless we see some pretty cool stuff. Jeez, excuse me, hiccups. This Fiji water's getting me. V8 should sponsor us, not Fiji water. Paul, going back to our pre-pod conversation here.
V8 Splash Tropical Blend, one of my favorites.
I love it, man. I love it. That's perfect. EJ, did you give your record prediction for the Giants? I don't remember if you did. You might have. If you did, I'm sorry. I missed it.
No, I didn't. I gave 8-9 for a prediction, right along the lines of Pat being 7-10. I don't see this team being a 500 team, but I see them grinding out wins, especially at the beginning of the year. I think the Commanders, I guess you'll find out when I talk about the Commanders what I see of them this year, but I see that going 1-0 and that momentum kind of carrying throughout the season, being kind of gritty wins. I think their offense, I think Russell Wilson's, unfortunately, as much as I love Daniel Jones, I think Russell Wilson being a huge advantage over Daniel Jones. If that offensive line can stay healthy, I think that running game will be well. And I think Abdul Carter is going to be a huge addition to that defense. And I think people forget that through the first 9 or 10 weeks of the season, that Giants defense was first in sacks. I think people forget that defense generated pressures, and that was the reason why Seattle lost that game against the Giants. I think that was the reason why the Bengals came into one possession. All those teams that came in one possession, I think that Abdul Carter can honestly change those games and make those wins. You also look at when the Giants lost against the Commanders without a field goal kicker, and the Commanders won just kicking field goals. I think it was a whole NFL record. We talked about it. It was a lot of fun. The NFL Redskins were the first team, or Commanders, to win a game without scoring a touchdown, kicking 8 field goals, winning the game against the Giants. It's all fun and games until you have a kicker. And we have Graham Gano back, who has been an all-pro. He's been there before. Hopefully he can stay healthy. I think the Giants are going to be a gritty team this year. I don't see them making the playoffs, but I see them stealing wins from a bunch of teams.
Paul, you mentioned Jackson Dart stepping in. but Jameis Winston is listed ahead of him on the depth chart right now.
Formality.
No, I want to pose this question to you guys. Over under 2.5 quarterbacks start a game for the Giants this year.
For Jackson Dart?
No, over under 2.5 different quarterbacks start a game for the New York Giants.
Over.
Same.
I'll say under. I'll say they get 2. I don't think that they go to 3.
I'm considering Russell gets hurt, and then Jameis starts one game, doesn't go well, and then Jackson starts the remainder of the game. So I'm like thinking about that, like Russell gets a season-ending injury there.
If there was like some FanDuel action out there on like crazy over under numbers for that, I would even consider 3.5. I want to see Tommy Cutlets get one too.
I'm sure there's a line somewhere.
Yeah, the only thing I would say is if Russ does get hurt and like Jameis comes in mid-game, I think Dart would start the next week. I don't think Jameis would be number 1 on that depth chart.
Okay, so you and Paul are kind of in agreement on that.
Yeah, I think you see that a lot this time. Like we're still I know that training camp is kind of wrapping up for a lot of teams, and it's really just into that preseason mode now. But you see depth charts really like rookies kind of start low on the depth chart at this point in the season, and like the coaches kind of make them work their way up. I saw it like when Kenny Pickett just a couple years ago was the rookie quarterback in Pittsburgh. He was below Mason Rudolph to begin that season, and he quickly, transversed above him on the depth chart. So I think that it's just a formality that they got Jameis above him. I got a tough time believing that the Giants ultimately are going to want to turn to Jameis for a long stretch of games over Jackson Dart, somebody that they drafted to hopefully be the future of the franchise.
What about Micah Parsons, defensive rookie of the year? Or not Micah Parsons, gosh, Abdul Carter.
That's a lock.
I can't believe we haven't talked about this guy yet. I think a slam dunk, to use that term again. I think I saw him at plus 250. I love those odds.
He's going to be unreal, dude. He's going to be so good.
He is unreal. Like, I read that he was like defeating every offensive lineman besides Andrew Thomas because he's not playing right now in Giants camp. And I was like, well, the Giants offense isn't too good, so I'm not going to take too much about it. And then today I saw that he was defeating like every defensive lineman that the Jets had to offer. And I was like, I think he's going to be special. And then obviously in the Bills preseason game, he destroyed Deion Dawkins on two pressures.
Yeah, I think that clip's out there just about everywhere. He just blows by him, gets held, still gets home.
And he's like, Dawkins is one of the premier tackles in the league.
Oh yeah.
That's a dude right there. If you're shaking him up, I mean,
yeah, no, that defensive front is going to be a menace to deal with week in, week out. And that's why I think they're going to be able to steal wins, because even if like they're not going to have too much tape on Abdul Carter, they're going to have college tape. And I think that's going to hurt certain teams that can't predict where he's going to line up. I think the Giants are going to be shifty with him like they are with the Cowboys with Micah Parsons and how he lines up and all that good stuff. So I don't know. I think he's a game changer. I think you don't have many game changers on defense. And I think he's one of those guys that can be a loss to a win in year one.
okay. So that does it for the Giants. Next, we have the Philadelphia Eagles, my friends, the defending Super Bowl champions. Could they replicate the Chiefs going back to back? Perhaps, maybe. Last year they went 14-3, won the Super Bowl. Kellen Moore left for the Saints head coaching job. They have Kevin Patullo as the offensive coordinator now. Is elevated to that position from within. 11.5 is their over-under for this season. They ranked top 10 in points per game last year, top 10 in EPA per play, both on passing and rushing side. Saquon, we all know what kind of a year he had. Their defense was 6th in turnover differential, 7th in rushing yards over expected per attempt. Their offensive weakness was probably just Jalen Hurts taking sacks. There was definitely a moment during the season where it seemed like he didn't really know what he was doing, and yet they still won 14 games. They lost some players over the offseason as well. Milton Williams, Josh Sweat, Mekhi Becton, Darius Slay Jr., Kenneth Gainwell, CJ Gardner-Johnson, Oren Burks. All those guys played a role of some sort for them last season. They did bring in some new players. Azeez Olajari, Kenyon Green in a trade with Houston, Josh Uche, Adoree Jackson, AJ Dillon, Ogbo Okoronkwo, Jacob Sykes. They're big additions to the draft. Jahad Campbell and Andrew Makuba. Both those guys could be impact players for them pretty much right away, based off the track record we've seen in Philly recently. Do you guys... okay. I don't want to say Super Bowl yes or no right now because there's some more predictions that we're going to have to do eventually, but yes or no, the Eagles should be the favorites for the NFC right now if everybody stays healthy.
I'm probably with Paul on this. I don't like taking teams that get to the Super Bowl, not only win the Super Bowl, to make it back again. So I'm going to say no.
So I think that it can be two mutually exclusive questions. Like, I can't justify, maybe I could say the Lions should be favored over Philadelphia because you can make the argument that Detroit was a better football team up until all the injuries on defense started to pile up last year. But outside of that, like, I can't justify a team that on paper right now looks better than them in the NFC. So for that sense, I guess it makes sense to me to have them favored to win the NFC, but I'm not going to go ahead and predict it. I just think it's really, really difficult to go back to back.
Yeah, it's immensely difficult. And the thing we haven't, I say yes if everybody's healthy, by the way, but that's like the big if. And that kind of goes back to your Lions point too, Paul. Like that is such an important part of the equation of the NFL season, especially when it's now 17 games and there's the extra playoff round. Like you play so much that you have to maintain some level of health or have the depth to make up for it. And the big thing that everybody's talking about this year is Saquon Barkley and his potential health or lack thereof. And there's this list out there of running backs having a season of 400 plus touches or more and what happens after the fact. And there are some pretty big year-to-year regressions there, but there's also some examples of Hall of Fame running backs being in the peak of their career and having really good seasons back-to-back years in great situations offensively. Derrick Henry was the most recent one in Tennessee where he went fifth in PPR rank for fantasy and then third in 2020. So fifth in 2019, third in 2020. Le'Veon Bell went third in 2016, then second in 2017. Ray Rice, not going to support his off-field actions, but on the field, he was the number one overall running back in 2011 and the fourth overall running back in 2012. And LaDainian Tomlinson, 2006, was first and second, respectively, in 2006 and 2007. Saquon's got the potential to fit on that list of those guys, if not maybe eclipse some of them in terms of what they can do on the football field. So it wouldn't surprise me, especially athletically. Like we've seen what he's capable of. I know he has his injury history, but he's also like, could he? You're basically just trying to say, like, can he match up to guys like that in terms of endurance, like taking 400 plus or like 400 tackles a year? It's not an easy thing. But like if he can replicate what he did last season or come close to that, the Eagles are going to be a damn tough team to beat again.
I agree, and this is a point I wanted to bring up. I agree. If he stays healthy, I mean, what's stopping Philly? I mean, they're so stacked everywhere. They got great young guys on defense. They've got two very good wide receivers, a very good receiver duo, good quarterback, And then you throw in the running game that they were really able to bring to the table last year, and it was the final missing piece, and it brought them over the hump and into a Super Bowl. I'm sorry. I know it's maybe not something a lot of fans want to hear. Like I'm buying into the touches slowing Saquon Barkley down. If you look at his career touches over the years, whenever he's gone over 300 touches in the regular season, he has missed time the following year. So he played 16 games last year, but of course we know that he sat out the final game of the regular season. Obviously, that was very controversial, going potentially for the rushing record. And consider this: rookie year, 352 touches. Then he misses 3 games the following year. And then in his 5th year, he had 352 touches, misses 2 games the following year. Only 288 after that 352 season. Now he's got 378 in the regular season, most ever. And then you throw in the playoffs, that goes to 400 total touches there. I just got a tough time believing that this guy plays 16 or 17 games. I think that we're going to see a missed stretch. And one of the guys you brought up there who's been an Iron Man that I've loved to watch. I mean, I've loved to watch Derrick Henry. Patrick, that's a good guy to reference. But the year that he had the most touches was 378 touches the year he had the most rushing attempts, at least, which still would accumulate in total to his most touches ever, was 2020. 378 attempts that year. The following year was the only year that he's actually gotten hurt for significant time. 2021 was the only year he missed significant time, where he only played in 8 total games. So even an Iron Man like Derrick Henry, who's really been able to avoid injury for the large portion of his career, after his career high year in touches, he then took a step back due to injury. So it's not a slight against Saquon Barkley here. I just think it's the reality of the situation that at the very least, we can't expect the 2,000 plus yard season that we got last year. And the Eagles might even be proactive with that. We might even see a very slow start to the year for Saquon Barkley, splitting more time with other running backs on the roster and trying to preserve him for the home stretch, because you're not going to be able to just feed this guy the ball 400 times year after year after year.
So something else, going back to that list, I want to mention one stat. There's a PFF article that covers this that I have linked for you guys. Just 5 of the 19 running backs who have eclipsed that 400 plus touch plateau have failed to play at least 14 games the next season. So, like, with his injury history, Paul, I'm not disagreeing with you. I do think there's definitely potential for that, and it scares me a little bit, but I'm going to lean more on the positive side of it and go with the outcome of him playing like 15 plus games, but maybe not being quite as efficient, like dropping off a little bit, still being one of the better backs in the league, probably top 5, top 3 even, but not quite having a record setting season either. With that, it's like I said, it's hard for me to pick against Philly here. I think they're going to have a really special season. I do see them going back to the Super Bowl. I think they're going to go 14-3. I think they're going to win the division by a larger gap, Paul, than you had the Bills winning the AFC East. I have them winning the NFC East by 5 games, and I think they're going to be a really big competitor for the Super Bowl at the end of the year. I don't have them winning it, but I have them getting there.
Not bad. If we're going into record predictions, I still think that this team is going to win the division, though I'm going to have it come down to a tiebreaker with the Dallas Cowboys. I think that this team is going to go 11-6 and win the tiebreaker. They're going to find a way. You look on defense here, there's still too much young talent. You got Jalen Carter, you got Nolan Smith, you got Cooper DeJean, Reed Blankenship. Quinyon Mitchell, I hear, has been locking down guys in camp. He's been the only guy, cornerback wide Smith. So I think that they're going to be fine. I'm not worried about the departure of Darius Slay. I think that they're going to fill in the secondary just fine. And this team is still just too talented overall to lose more than 6 games. But I think that, yes, tough division. We'll see maybe a little bit of Super Bowl hangover. Does Barkley miss a little bit of time? Do they try to limit him in any way, shape, or form? I think that it can all result in 11-6, but I still have them winning the division.
I've said a lot. Part of my last thoughts on me having their prediction where it was going back to Hurts having a better year, AJ Brown playing a full season too, and their D-line hitting home a little bit more. Their D-line was not as explosive in the regular season as you would have thought they were. EJ, you have the floor, my friend. I have spoken far too much.
Hey, you guys got to nail it on the head. I mean, this team's deep in all aspects of the game: offense, defense, special teams. I think that Landon Dickerson being injured with that meniscus tear for 8 weeks, however long he's going to be injured, that is going to hurt them, especially at the beginning of the year. But at the end of the day, I'm finishing 12-5, winning this division, one game over the Cowboys. We'll see how the playoffs go. Right now, I have them losing it in the conference round as well, and that's basically just due to the fact that I don't see a team getting back there. Once again, I see them being dominant. I see them being a great team throughout the season. Maybe some offensive questions like there always are, and calling for firing of their head coach, but I don't think it will happen. If it does, I'll be very surprised. This defense pretty good. I think their secondary has some question marks to it. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. I think they have the potential to be a very good team again, but um, we'll see. We'll see how it goes.
You're muted, buddy.
Thank you, Paul. So we all have them being essentially like conference championship game or higher, right?
No, I'm gonna predict that they lose in the divisional round. I don't know to who, but I'm gonna predict they lose the divisional round. But if they get to the conference championship, hell, if they get back to the Super Bowl, I'm not gonna be shocked. They're that talented. I just think it's difficult to do it 2 times in a row. I think that they'll trip up somewhere.
For sure. Okay. I feel pretty good about that from all of us. Yeah, I have them going 14-3, 4-2 in division. So I do have a couple teams beating them in division. EJ, I actually think I have your Giants getting them once. No, that's wrong. I'm sorry. No, I don't. Never mind. I had the Giants going 0-6 in the NFC East.
Not surprising.
Sorry. Last team here. We've got the Washington Commanders, the Commies. Incredible season for the Commanders last year. The NFL's darlings by all accounts last season. Jaden Daniels was the star of the show. That Hail Mary was incredible. Was it maybe a result of a defender not paying attention for the first 3 seconds of the play? Yeah. But still pretty awesome. He had plenty of other clutch moments too. He was incredibly efficient, not just passing, but also running the ball as well. And was kind of like I mean, about as the most mesh of Josh Allen and Lamar as you could get without actually being able to do it in a lab. Just really, really exciting stuff. They made some additions to the team too. They brought in Deebo Samuel. We'll see how that pans out. They brought in Laramie Tunsil, Jonathan Jones, Javon Kinlaw, Dietrich Wise, Michael Gallup. They drafted a tackle out of Oregon, Josh Connerly, in the first round, and they also brought in Trey Amos, a cornerback out of Ole Miss, in the second round. I see signs of improvement in the team, but if Terry McLaurin is not around, we talked about this, I think, fantasy a couple of weeks ago. This is a totally different team to me, and their ceiling drastically changes. That is paramount for me. There's no reason why they shouldn't keep him in town. He's always been a leader for them. He's been there through bad quarterback seasons, bad winning record seasons, or win-loss record seasons, He just had a career year and was their star quarterback's go-to guy. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Don't mess up the juju, man. Don't do it. That's all I have to say.
The juju's been broken, man. I mean, they're not going to pay the guy.
Already?
He's not practicing with him. I think that takes effect the first day of training camp, in my opinion. You're looking at a guy who I think needs to get reps with Scary Terry. Even if Scary Terry decides to play week 1, I think it's gonna be an adjustment to get him the ball. I'm not saying they won't get him the ball. They're not going to attempt to throw to him. I'm not saying that because he is the heart and soul, but that's going to be a guy where if they don't have their timing straight up on point, then it can lead to problems. And We'll see. I see, honestly, not with our offense. I see a lot of regression from their defense this year. I mean, they're bringing back a lot of guys who are old. Obviously, Von Miller, we haven't seen what he's bringing the last few years, but it has been the best. Bobby Wagner coming back for another year. We'll see what he can bring. I know last year was kind of his coming out party. I'm not too sure about their secondary still. I just think this team has still too many question marks where it's just kind of like, hey, is this going to be a sophomore slump for Jaden Daniels? I'm not saying that. I think it's going to be a sophomore slump for this team and where their progression is trying to get to. I'm not really sure what this team is going to bring overall this year. They had a lot of close wins last year against lesser opponents. We'll see what this season brings.
I do think that's a great point. They got lucky a few times. I mentioned the Hail Mary. They also had a game against your Giants last year where they won scoring nothing but field goals, I believe, in a field goal off.
Yeah. No, the Giants scored. They just didn't have a kicker.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you. I misremembered the details. I appreciate you filling in the blanks there. But yeah, that's something that I am kind of accounting for with this team to a certain extent. I do think they have like a similar ceiling to last year where maybe they could make a divisional or even like conference championship game run. But I also wouldn't be surprised if they missed the playoffs. I don't think they're going to like fall off the rails by any means. Like I don't see them majorly regressing. I don't see them going like 6-11 or anything like that. I see it being kind of reminiscent of what CJ Stroud went through last year in Houston, but in a better division where you can't win the division going 9-8 or 10-7 or whatever. Like you're going to have to beat some real teams and you're going to have to show up. And he did that a lot last year. I'll give him credit. But again, I don't really know what's going to happen with Terry. I think they'll probably end up keeping him around, but it wouldn't surprise me if maybe he didn't play to start the year. I don't see them trading him. I think the fan base would be pretty pissed. What are you guys thinking in terms of ceiling floor for this team? You guys might have, I think EJ, you kind of went through it. Paul, I want to hear what you have to say.
Yeah, so you guys have echoed a lot of the sentiments that I kind of share. I'll just touch on those quick before I go give ceiling floor. EJ makes a really good point. I think that you had last year with Terry McLaurin and Jaden Daniels, but I still think that you need to keep the preseason reps going or training camp reps to keep that relationship fresh. By relationship, I mean just quarterback to receiver on the field. The one thing I will say, Terry McLaurin for the first time all training camp was at least on the sideline during practice. I believe that was either today or yesterday that I read. So maybe, just maybe, the negotiations are starting to get a little bit better. I do agree with you, Pat. I think it'll get done. When it gets done, though, is a completely different story. And this guy hasn't really done any practice stuff. I'm sure he's training and stuff behind the scenes, but that is a significant deal there. And I don't believe Deebo Samuel is capable of being a wide receiver one. He's only ever had one 1,000-yard receiving season in his career. So just throw that out the window, in my opinion. The point about them getting lucky a couple of times, extremely true. I don't think that this was actually a 12-5 team last year. So that's the big thing that I want to point out. And it wasn't just the Chicago Bears game. It wasn't just the game against New York where they won with all field goals. Keep in mind, 2 games at the end of the year. They beat Philadelphia in a crazy comeback against the Eagles when Jalen Hurts got knocked out of the game when they were going up against Kenny Pickett. They also win the last game of the year against Dallas, where Dallas really had nothing to play for, through Trey Lance in there. And part of the reason they had nothing to play for was because Prescott was hurt for the majority of the season. EJ and I have both talked about how we think Dallas is going to be much better. So right there, you can knock out 3 to 4 wins from this team last year, and maybe, just maybe, they should have been closer to like a 9 or 10 win team than a 12-win team. I'm looking at that. I think that there could be regression from Jaden Daniels just purely in a sophomore slump. We didn't think it would happen with CJ Stroud, and we saw him take a major step back. So I don't see why Jaden Daniels is like immune to that possibility. All in all, I think that I am going to predict them to play at their floor this year, which is like 8-9 wins. I'm going to call a 9-8 season, missing the playoffs. I do think their ceiling is divisional/conference-ish around kind of what they did last year. But I would say that their ceiling is like second or third round of the playoffs. They are not quite a Super Bowl team yet, in my opinion. Muted again.
We share similar sentiments on that. I think in order for them to replicate what they did last year or improve outside of the McLaurin thing, they're going to have to find some more weapons for Daniels and make it less reliant on him, whether that's in the pass game or run game. And I think their defense, like EJ, you kind of talked about this. They did have like a surprisingly good defense, but I want to see it improve a little bit more. Neither of us have done records yet, right?
No,
I just did mine.
Not.
You just did yours, Paul.
9-8.
9-8.
9-8. Yeah.
Okay. I was really torn on them. Do you have them missing the playoffs too? You said?
I do have them missing the playoffs.
Yeah, I was really torn on this team. I really want them to do well. I was very proud of the fact that I predicted them to be like a surprisingly very good team last year, but I do think they're going to play some tougher teams this year. I do think their division will be better, and I ultimately have them going 8-9 and missing the playoffs. I do also think there's a chance that maybe Daniels misses a game or two. He missed a game last year, I believe, and Mariota actually played pretty well. But yeah, man, I just think the NFC is going to be really good this year. I think there's going to be some bad teams in some divisions that allow some other teams to really beef up their records and just make it tough for teams kind of in the middle of the pack to elevate into those bottom wild card spots. So if Washington pulls a rabbit out of their ass again this year and plays very, very well and gets to a deep level of the playoffs, I will happily eat crow because, like I said, I want them to do well. I loved watching Jaden Daniels play last year. It's so fun. But I don't know, man. It was hard for me to get there again this season.
Hey, man. I might be the floor guy today, but I have Washington finishing 7-10, last in the division, missing the playoffs. And
last below the Giants.
He hates them.
Giants, hey, man. I mean, it might be I might have some hopium on the Giants, but I see the Giants handling the Commanders week 1. And that's going to be how the Commander season goes this year. I don't see this defense being great. I see Daniels missing time this year. And when he's out there, I don't see him being as accurate and as good as he was last year scrambling that pocket. I don't see him having that rep with Scary Terry, given they haven't even thrown a pass together yet this season. Debo, yeah, as Paul said, he's not a wide receiver 1, and we've seen him over the years. I mean, we saw him with 2 ACL tears in college. Us being Gamecock fans, like this guy doesn't have legs at this point in his career, even though he's only 27, 28. Like this guy does not have legs. He literally runs like us running down a 40-yard dash. So if you're going to rely on Noah Brown, who's basically the same speed as Deebo Samuel, like God forbid, good luck. Luke McCaffrey is now coming up in this rotation, and we don't know what Luke McCaffrey is. He's not his brother. That's all we can say. I don't see this offense being great. I don't see this defense being as good as it was last year, surprisingly. I see this offense taking a huge step back and this team trying to revamp next year what they need to do to get Jaden Daniels to be as good as he was his rookie season.
Is it worth mentioning the wild card of Marshawn Lattimore, like actually playing games for them in the regular season? Because did he even play in the playoffs after they traded for him?
I'm pretty sure he did, because I remember kind of hyping up that showdown between him and his best friend Mike Evans in the playoff game against Tampa.
I don't think he played though. I know he hyped it up, but I don't think he was on him too much.
I thought he played and wasn't that good. Can't remember exactly, but I'm pretty sure he got in the
regular season.
Regular season, I don't think he played, but in the playoff game, at least the first one, I thought he did.
No, he played all through the playoffs. Yeah, he played all through the playoffs. Okay.
I mean, kind of goes to EJ's point. Like, I think Marshawn Lattimore is a solid player, but I don't know. I mean, they've got good names on defense, but there are some aging guys. Like some of the guys that they were bringing in, late 20s, early 30s. Von Miller, definitely not the guy he used to be. I don't know. Is Marshawn Lattimore still a game changing player? I think that's a realistic question. I mean, can he 100% lock down a number one wide receiver? Not 100% sure. I mean,
And
I
that's
don't think. Yeah.
basically what they hit a home run on last year. A bunch of old name players that made a huge impact and bought in. I mean, two losses at the beginning of their year, and this can be a whole different segment we're going through where this team's like, should we even be trying? I mean, if you want to say it, I mean, it sounds pretty intense saying that. Like, are you going to try? But like, we all see teams go through, and we all see players go through it. Like, should we just risk it, get to the offseason, get to a team that wants to win, so we can get our first ring?
For what it's worth, I have Dallas finishing 9-8, and as the 8 seed or first team out, and then I have Washington finishing 8-9 as the 9 seed or second team out. So, like, literally, if Washington just wins one extra game against the Cowboys in the regular season, that flips. They still miss the playoffs, but it's over 500. Like, that wouldn't surprise me at all, just based off how they won some of their games last year. But I think we're all kind of in agreement of where this year's probably going to go for Washington. But yeah, I guess I'll leave you guys with this. Gun to your head, what would you say the percentage likelihood is of Washington leaping spots with, in EJ, your case, the Giants and Dallas, but the Cowboys for that second spot in the division? Because I feel like we are kind of all banking on a lot from you guys more than me, banking on a lot from the Cowboys this coming year. Yes, we've seen them do it in the past, and we've seen Dak do it, but maybe are we getting a little ahead of ourselves there? Maybe.
I mean, with the Giants, I'd say over a 50% chance. I'm just looking at the hopium that New York's bringing out to me, which happens every season. I usually don't take too much consent into it, but it's a new year. We have a new quarterback. We have a solid D line, so I'm going to take that in consent. With the Cowboys, I'd say probably about 30%. I really think the Cowboys are a much better team than Washington on paper and what they're going to bring on the field this year. I think Dak's a better quarterback.
I don't know. I could see that being 50-50, to be honest.
Dak's never had multiple weapons like that. And then you even throw in Jake Ferguson. Like, Dak has multiple weapons to throw to, and he has those speedy slot receivers with Turpin. Like, he can do a lot this season that we've never seen before.
Yeah.
You're talking about Debo, Noah Brown, and Scary Terry over here.
Hey, Scary. They call him Scary Terry for a reason, man.
I love Scary Terry, but I'm just saying it's Scary Terry.
We wouldn't know it based on this commentary.
You mean scary bad connotation versus scary good connotation?
Scary piece of shit, Terry.
Dude, I mean, look, EJ, I'm kind of there with you that Washington's going to take a step back. Not as extreme as you have it, but man, if they run it back and just kind of do what they did last year, this one is going to look bad on all of us.
100%.
But you know what? That's what it is. We put ourselves out there. I give them probably a 35 to 40% chance to still be better than Dallas. I mean, I think that a little bit better than 1-3, but definitely not 50%. And then I already have them above New York. So, I mean, I guess I would say 100% there. I don't see New York getting to Washington. I don't see that flip-flop in there. But if you're talking about Dallas, yeah, I mean, I think that 35-40% in that realm, I give them to be the second best team. I can't see them getting above Philly. I just can't do it.
I think it's about 50-50 with Dallas. And to be honest, I kind of want to switch them now that I'm really getting down to the meat and potatoes of it, but I'm going to stick with it for now. Because either way, I'm picking Washington to be under their win total. So in the grand scheme of things, it's pretty inconsequential for the point of the exercise.
What's their win? What's their win total? 10.5?
9.5. So we're all picking under.
So to be fair, Vegas is betting on some regression here as well. This is a 12-win regular season team, and they have a over/under win total 2.5 below that.
And it's probably for like similar reasons, and they're probably factoring in a little bit of that like perceived Daniels regression too. But like, what if this guy is just? What if he's just different? What if all the stuff that we saw last year was legit? It wasn't a fluke, and he just keeps it up, and he's like right away one of the best quarterbacks in the league for the next better part of the decade. Because that would drastically change not just the East with Philly in there, but the NFC as a whole too.
Well, if he's that different, then Philly might not be a slam dunk to even be the best team in their own division.
Like if that happens, there's a really good chance he's the
then
best
we're completely wrong
in the NFC. If that happens, there's a great chance he's the best quarterback in the NFC.
I mean, we're just going to get more negative Google reviews and stuff like that. So that's probably all.
No, I don't.
I have my first hater. I forget the.
Have we responded to that on this yet?
No, I forget their name, but yeah, I was called. I think I was called racist for a take on Lamar where I went back and reviewed, and I believe I said that he was very good with no wide receiver talent. But nonetheless, I mean, I'm just happy to have a hater out there. So I guess I'm opening up the door saying that Jaden Daniels is going to regress. I mean, by all means, I encourage that Google, YouTube follower to leave your comments. And thank you for your listenership, and thank you for watching us.
50% chance that review is from Cooper Miles Mallinger.
Well, Coop, if that's the case, very clever, and we appreciate you listening and watching.
I love it. Any final thoughts on the Commanders or the NFC East as a whole, fellas?
No, I think the Commanders have the biggest ceiling and biggest floor out of all the teams in the NFC East. Like, that's the most, like, wide you can get. Like, you can get them missing the playoffs. You can get them getting back to the conference championship.
I think I'll go Dallas with that just because of the Dak health equation. But Washington's not far off. For sure. Because it's either conference championship game or miss the playoffs. Like, that's kind of two ends of the spectrum.
Yeah, I'll probably go Washington for a biggest gap, but I could see some volatility from Dallas as well. Heck, I could see it from the Giants. I mean, I could see them being getting a top 5 pick, or I could see them, pushing towards 500. That's a pretty big gap there themselves. So really just about everybody except for Philly, I think, has got a decently wide range of outcomes for the season.
Chill out with that Giants gap, will you?
I mean, I'm just telling you, somebody who watched someone who watched a decent amount of Russell Wilson last year. I don't know if you guys are going to get off to the best hot start. That's all.
I want me some glory hole.
Me too.
Jerry says it best.
We could go all the way.
Now I'm just spamming. I need to chill.
All right. It seems to have reached that point in the evening for the podcast.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for tuning in. We're going to get back to you next week with the North divisions. Yeah, I guess that's next on the table. So, Paul, EJ and I's teams, we're through. We gotta grill yours next week.
I don't know how I made it through a night because for those of you who don't know, we've recorded the AFC East and NFC East on the same night. I don't know how I made it through. Your Patriots talking, EJ's Giants, Hopium, all in one night, but I can't wait to give it back to you with, I don't even know what my Steelers take is going to be for this year yet, but
just going to mute my mic for it.
You got a little bit more time to simmer on it, my friend.
I'm just joking, obviously. I know exactly what my Steelers take is going to be, but it'll be interesting to look forward to that.
All right, my friends. Good night, everybody. Catch us next time right here on the Fifth and Long podcast.
God bless you, Fifth and Long listeners.
Adios.